What's up, guys? Welcome back. We're doing another turbo switcheroo on another TKM car. You guys know about the Galaxy. You've seen it, so you probably know about the C7 as well. Just to refresh your memory, this car is owned by Jarrod. He is WM Titanium Products out of Australia. So Jarrod's got several cars. He actually owns the, I think it's a 5th gen Camaro body that Reese brothers, David Reese, used to drive. Got the blower on it, so he's got that car over in Australia. He's got this car. He also bought the Mustang that Kevin Mullins used to have, like the SN95 car. So we've had them all in here though. Not the one he bought from David, but those of you that have been following our channel years and years and years ago, when Chris Alexander first bought this car from Larry Jeffers, the rolling chassis anyway, the plan was for us to do the turbos on it and stuff. We went to TKM and looked at it. I remember that was when my oldest daughter, which is now 10, she was still very, very small. We got pictures of her climbing in the chassis and stuff like that. So this car's got a lot of history with us. So we did the turbo setup on it, kind of laid everything out. I actually took it myself to the body shop to get the paint job that's on it right now. So then, you know, they went through multiple different transmission changes, you know, just trying to figure the car out, get it the way they wanted. And it came back. We took the precision turbos off of it, and then we put the forced induction turbos on it that are on there now. So that was a big improvement for, you know, what they was doing at the time with the car. But Harts Turbo wants to get on their program, and like we put them on the Galaxy, which you've seen, if any of y'all are on social media, you've seen the Galaxy made nearly 3,900 horsepower with the turbo swap. So they picked up a big bunch of power over the precisions that were on it. I think they were actually 88s. I didn't even know what size turbos they were that I was putting on it until I read the post myself. So, but this car, this is top tier everything, bunch of titanium on it. But basically a car capable of you know, 350s to the 8th at 220 plus. So that's what they're trying to work towards. I don't think they're that kind of mile per hour yet, but they're wanting to get there, and they just need a little bit more wind than what they got. So they're going to give Harts a try. Like I said, I believe these are 98s. I don't know any specs about the turbo other than that, but I do know it's got a crossbolt style housing like the Precision Pro Mod turbos do. So the Galaxy didn't have that. If it did, it wouldn't have fit in the holes that I had to put it in. But the plan is tomorrow to come in here and pull the nose off, get a list of all the different parts we got to order to make the switch over. It shouldn't be near as complicated as the Galaxy, but still going to have to change a bunch of stuff, but try to change as little as possible. These downpipes, they're titanium. I made those years ago, and I think I can still use them no problem. I have to change the Maven mounts because it's a different bolt pattern in these turbos, but should be pretty simple. Not, like I said, not near as complicated as the Galaxy. Still working on Mickey's over here. Got the 6 A, B, and C bars put in it, which I'll show you in another video. So continuing to steady work on this and make progress. He's going to actually come to the shop here the end of February and check out everything. So hopefully by then I'm going to have most of the turbo kit done, the fuel cell and, you know, a bunch of other stuff done to the car, so he'll have something to look at when he gets here. But I told myself going into this year, I've told Kevin no for years and years. Every time he asks me to do something, I tell him no, I ain't got time, no, I ain't got time. But I've said in my other videos, I try to take care of my local people, and Kevin's always done our engine stuff at TKM, and he's always helped us out and been good to us. So I started saying yes to a couple of these local guys that need me to do little quick things, and here it is. So we'll get the front end off tomorrow, and we'll see what kind of issues we're going to have switching these things over. Hopefully none. Super duper well. All right, I've got it on the strap. I can't remember how this one balances. All right, back at it this morning. Got the nose pulled off. As you've seen, looking at the situation we have to deal with here. And the first thing I wanted to check out is, do the downpipes share the same flange? So those that are on the car are from Jose. They're GT55 base turbos, and I have a GT55 flange here. We have our Harts turbos that are going on the car, and we have a winner. So that's reassuring that I don't have to remake the downpipes. Just measuring the turbos, they're about 1.5 inches longer front to back than the ones that are on the car. So I think we have enough. I know we do on the driver's side, but passenger side will be pretty close. I think we can just take that distance off of the downpipe there and just re-weld the flange on, and that'll be it. This side you got a bend that you're gonna have to get into a little bit, but I think I can work with it. One concern when the front end is on, these compressor housings are almost all the way up into the grill, and I didn't really realize they were that close, which, I mean, I guess I should have realized because I did this turbo setup the first time, and you know, that's how it was laid out. But we've swapped turbos this will be the third time. I just didn't remember. It's been several years. But looking at these that are on the car, these actually look a little bit fatter right there than the ones that are going on it. The hot side definitely is going to be a little bit bigger on the ones we're putting on it than these are. But I think it'll work out pretty good. The plan is I'm going to take all this stuff apart, and I'm going to get the new turbos bolted up to here and see where we're at as far as the Maven mount. I know I have to order another set of Maven supports because the Harts turbos have the wider bolt spacing. I think they're like 2.1 or something like that, and these are 2-inch. So not going to be able to make these work, but cutting them off and putting new ones on ain't going to be no big deal, especially when we can get it hooked to the hot side. And then we should be able to get it hooked up to the cold side just with adding a dual seal receiver flange to the turbos that we're putting on. But shouldn't be that bad. Main thing is we've got a bunch of reference points to go by and get everything hooked up, and then cut the supports off on the Maven mounts and then get them back exactly where they are, really without moving anything. If we have to put crib blocks or jack stands or something under the turbos to support the weight while we're doing it. But like I said, the more reference points you have, the better. And then seen a video on social media last night about Jarrod repairing some of the header cracks at the track. They brought these headers, or Kevin sent them back to me. It's been, well, I guess about maybe 6 months ago or something. And anyway, they had developed a couple cracks, which this, like I said, this build is about 6 years old. So I welded them up and I actually freshened the stars that are inside the collector, because I seen some stuff, you know, start to develop in there. But they developed another little crack right here, which I don't know, that might be what I fixed. But anyway, based on the social media video, I thought I was going to find a mess. You know, Jarrod's a welder, but he didn't have really anything to work with at the track, and the video looked like he was welding with no gas. So I was afraid kind of to pull the front end off, see what I'd find, but it doesn't really look that bad from what I can see. So let's start taking some stuff apart and see what else we have to change. Got everything pulled off the car now. I did have my list of stuff sitting here, but I've already went in there and ordered everything. So I didn't have to order that much. I say not that much. I mean, you still spend $1,000 worth of stuff just in flanges and different things like that. But luckily, you seen in the video right there at the end, I actually took, I think it was this turbo, took this turbo and I clocked it the same as the one on the driver's side, and I put it up there to make sure this flange was the same, and luckily it is. So we don't have to change nothing about the feed pipe going from the header to the turbo. This flange we're going to update and put the race part solution to dual seal just like this one. Holding it up there at first glance, looks like we're going to have to add maybe 3 or 4 inches of material. Maybe not that much, but you know, we're definitely going to have to add a little stub on the cold pipe to get it to reach, because these seem like they're just a little bit longer than this one as far as how far they stick out. So we'll see how that works out. I mean, that might take care of itself when you stack 2 of these flanges on there and I get all that took care of. But I've got some 3.5 in the back, so I didn't have to order no material for that. So another thing, I said at the first of the video that I assumed that these was GT55 flange like these, or they're not. Because here we have a GT55 flange. This is one that we'd use on our aluminum downpipes as a 4-inch. So that's a perfect fit, you know, because that's what it is. But no go. So this is what was on it. This is the downpipe that was on it. Maybe I can hold it up here with one hand. You can see that's what it was. And here it's a lot smaller, or it's a good bit smaller than the ones on the turbos that we were putting on the car. So I think this is an old style Pro Mod flange. It's on this one. and this is obviously the GT55 style. So stepping up the exhaust size a little bit, just putting the caliper on it. I don't know what size turbine these are. It seems to be maybe somewhere around a 107 millimeter or something like that, maybe a 108. Just holding the caliper up to it since I can't get down there. I can just measure the OD of this, and that's about 108. But this one is a good bit bigger. It's like, you know, half the width of my finger bigger on the turbine than these are. So definitely should flow a lot more exhaust, you know, make it not hit a ceiling so soon. You know, no doubt these, you know, come on super hard, but that's what they were initially trying to do. But now that they got some stuff figured out with the car, they're needing it to carry it through all the way to the end. So obviously getting a bigger turbine side, and then with Harts Turbo wanting to get in on their program, you know, providing these turbos, you know, like we switched over to the Galaxy, the same deal with the Vet. So that's why we're doing all this. Other than that, you know, might have to take just a little bit of that section out, like I said, but not going to be that difficult of a switch over. And as far as the turbo supports, because the hot side is exactly, you know, the same, we can go ahead and put the turbo on there, you know, without taking all this stuff off. I got to take the header off and just check over both of those to make sure they don't need to be welded up. But I'll do that at the very end, you know, after I've got everything else done, so none of this stuff moves. But I'll go ahead and mock the turbo up, and then I can kind of just build the supports out to where they need to be, you know, whether it's cut them off here or whatever. I mean, it's really not that big a deal to do that. So thankfully it's not going to be as nerve-wracking as the Galaxy was, which it wasn't that bad. I'm just saying it took a lot more brain power than this is going to take. So everything's on the way. I'm going to take a break for, you know, however long it takes for the stuff to get here. I'm going to get back over on Mickey's car. Just while we're recording, let's weigh the difference. Zero. We've got 1.8 ounces. 2.5 ounces. So you can see the size difference there's probably more than twice the material here. So that's just the difference in titanium and steel. Definitely a lot lighter. But that was worth showing anyway. Wrong hole. There we go. I feel certain that I'm going to run into these before this switchover is done. With my head, with my body, or something. First thing we're going to do is cut these moving mounts off and get them out of the way.
I'll turn the V-band where I can get to it. That's fine.
Got them mocked up. You see little jack stand supports. I just used the dump on the wastegate pipe to kind of, because they're so far in front of the headers, I just wanted to support this pipe so it didn't move a whole lot. but got them pretty much where the old ones were. Because this flange was the same, we didn't have to change anything, we could bolt it right up. Got our feed and drains where it's going vertical, not leaned. You can see what we're going to have to do here, which I plan to put dual seals on here anyway. Probably cut this back and put a straight section in there. Or we might try to, you know, separate the well or something. We'll try to make that as clean as we can. I just wanted to see how they kind of lined up before I cut this off and put a dual seal connection there. We've got the hard connection up here, so you want to have something that's can move a little bit. This one, I have to slightly clock it a little bit because it seems like just the way it's sitting that's a little bit off of where the other one was. That could be, you know, the offset of this, how it steps out a little bit different than the other turbos did, but no big deal. The plan is to leave it like this, and tomorrow I'll see where we're at on the down pipes, get the front end put on. It's up like this so I can get under it and kind of work and see, but we'll get the front end put on, verify that this is not going to hit up into the nose. Once all this is verified on getting the nose back on and everything working correctly, then I will start messing with the down pipes and getting those lined up with the bumper or the front end the way they need to be. Once I get those done, then I will cut this tube off down here, or, you know, add a little section to the end of it or something. I don't know. I mean, it's pretty much in the right location. It doesn't need much of anything, so I might slug it or do something where we can keep these nice gusseted layout here and just go from here to the new Maven mount, since it's so close to being where it needs to be anyway. And then once those are supported, then I'll connect the cold side and that'll wrap it up. But shouldn't be that big of a deal. I'm glad they actually do fit on there as close as they do. So tomorrow's another day.
Got all the access, or you know, components. Good. So far, good. Oh. You on? Yeah. There he is. Just let it sit there.
Give y'all an underside view here. It looks like we are all clear. Just barely. So just wanted to make sure of this before proceeding any further. So got the front end locked on, and I'm going to start checking these down pipes and see what needs to be done on that, and then we'll be good to go. I'm glad we don't have to do anything with the clearance of the compressors, which I didn't think we would, but you never know. So now we're going to trim these down pipes. I've measured both turbos from where the Maven mounts up to one of the bolts, or basically the center line to where the downpipe flange is, and between both turbos, because this one, if you remember, it's got the cross bolts on it, we've got about 1 7/8 inches difference in length front to back between the ones that come off of it and the ones that we're putting on it. So we're going to attempt to cut exactly 1 7/8 of distance square with the way the flange is now, and just put another flange on there. But it's going to be tougher on this one because it's in a bend, and we've got to try to keep that same square edge. But on this one it's going to be pretty easy because just for the way the engine and the cylinder heads are and the way the turbos are mounted, this one had to have a little bit of extension on the other side, so it'll be easy to cut that. We'll probably start with the hard side first and then move to the easy side and see how it goes. Alright, back up here on Friday. Gonna get back on this thing. Cut the filming short yesterday because once I put the things up there, this side ended up being a little bit, what was actually, yeah, it was this side. The angle was a little bit too much that way, and I had to do some correcting and stuff. And usually whenever I have to make a bunch of corrections or fight myself, I usually cut the filming short just because I don't know how long it's going to take or whatever. But got them fixed up. Had to actually split the weld right there and move the angle up a little bit. Split the weld right here, which I'll show you whenever I get the pipe off, or you'll see me weld them up. But got them pretty close now, within a ½ a degree or something of being the same. So split that weld there, and then the flange on this one. But turned out pretty good. It's just pretty nerve-wracking with, which I talk about it on every video, but with dual down pipes, it's tough to get them exactly the same. So we got them close enough. and I'm gonna take these things off here now and weld them up, and then put them back on the car, which I might actually just pull the front end off where it is and make a mark on the rotation. And I gotta take advantage of the help while I got it, because I'm up here by myself, and the guys that own the other business in the front office, they're up there, and I've already, one of them come in here to throw something away back at the dumpster a while ago. I said, I'm gonna come commandeer you here in a minute to pull this nose off. So I'll probably do that before they roll out and are gone for the day and I don't have any help. So let me go round one of them up, get the nose off, and then we can mark the rotation of these pipes and get them welded up. Hopefully work on the cold side a little bit today. I got a jet at lunchtime, but trying to put a couple hours in this thing. I ordered all the material and stuff to start Mickey's hot side, hopefully the first part of the week. So I'm trying to get this thing done, so let's get at it. Back on this thing today. It is Monday of the following week. Ended up splitting these things a couple places, like you've seen in the video, and adjusting the angle a little bit where it was more better on both sides. So I got them where they need to be, went ahead and pulled the nose off, and now we're gonna address the cold side. One thing I did come in here this weekend and do in conjunction with welding these back up is work on the Maven supports. Like I said before, I cut it there at the end and just made me an extension to come up to where the mounts are in their position now. So still pretty straight shot, just needed the angle adjusted just a little bit. So whenever I get everything took completely apart, I'll finish welding it all up. But right now it's just welded good in a couple spots just to hold it in position. So now I'm going to take these compressors off, and I'm going to cut right against that lip, and we're going to put the dual seal flange on there. I'll have to put them back on here after I cut them just to see, because on this side it looks like I can just slide a new flange in there, match it up, get it locked in, and weld it to the turbo. And might have to fatten the weld up a little bit to blend it, but I think it'll pretty much line up. This side is really close as well. But whenever I took this apart, it was kind of, I guess, where this cold side had been changed one time or another, you know, in amongst all the transmission changes and all that this car had been through. We didn't change the cold side. Reese Brothers changed it, and you know, the engine's been moved a little bit, and some stuff's got slightly out of a line. So this, you can see how, if you look, this is a little bit above what this is. And yes, you can still get it on, but it's going to be a pain in the butt if I just put a flange here and just call it a day and then let Kevin and Jarrod fight with it. So I don't want to do that. So we'll get it off, get it trimmed up, and just see how it fits once we get that other flange in there. If I can make it work, we'll make it work. If not, we're going to cut it back here, and we're going to adjust this angle and get this down and put another new flange on this side. And you know, if we have to do that on this side, we'll do it on this side too. We just don't want to get too cut happy until we see how it lines up. So get these things off, get going. And just as I suspected, this is what we've got here. If I rotate it on down, it's going to be below, which I can fill anything in with weld. I just don't want it to look rigged up here. That right there, I mean, that's weldable. Got a little overlap on this side. I could weld it up, leave it like it is, but it's just gonna kind of look jacked up if I do. So looks like I'm going to be cutting this maybe back here and cutting this right in there or something. That way I'm able to sneak up on it. A lot of it's probably the offset of the castings versus the ones from forced inductions. It may just be just a little bit, you know, one way or another, or, you know, just the difference in the turbochargers, obviously. But anyway, no big deal. Let's get to it. Everything's back together now. And I even put a little bit of paint on the Maven stuff before I bolted it up so they wouldn't have to deal with it. So I actually I'm not gonna have to pull all this stuff apart to do the headers. I don't know what I was thinking, but I can just pull the headers off by taking the clamp loose and pulling them off that way, because all this stuff's supported. So I just wanted to show you how it's fit up now after it's welded. Very minimal gap. So something like that's pretty acceptable in my opinion, because when you weld this aluminum, it's gonna shrink a little bit. You're really not gonna stop it, and you really can't make it big. I guess you could, but it's gonna suck to try to fit it up. But lines up a good bit better than what it did. So I'm gonna show you guys how I put these things on, since everybody seems to struggle with it. So let's set up the camera and do it. They could probably get away with a little bit smaller O-ring, but the easier this is to put on, the more prone it's going to leak. So I've seen some other brands out there that make really quality stuff, and they're, you know, some of them are easier to put on, but it worries me that maybe they will start leaking one day. Who knows? That's the thing, you really... Now this one's gonna go right on, watch. Look at that. See, just had to hold your mouth right. See, now that I've got this side kind of in place. Get like my big mouth. There it is. Put the clamps on backwards, so once you get it in position, relaxed, take it off and flip it. Thought I was going to show y'all something, and I ended up struggling like everybody else. But these do help a lot. I mean, I use them pretty much on every turbo build in some way, shape, or form, just because they do help keep everything kind of relaxed and not in a bind. I mean, you can clamp stuff down and pull it into submission, but in the long run, that's gonna put stress on everything. And this aluminum piping is just 16 gauge, so you don't want that stuff to crack. So there's that. Cold side is done. Turbos are mounted. Down pipes are in position. Now I do have to put a tab over to one of these bolts, and I've got a nut right here on this one, and I'll put the other one kind of out of sight as well. But I got to put a tab on there to keep these things from rotating when they get really hot. Plus, you know, when they take the pipes on and off, front ends off the car, they'll know where to put it. They won't struggle to line it up. So I might do that before I go home. We'll see. Kind of see right there. A wrench to tighten it. Right there it is. That will keep it from rotating. Just something simple. Out of sight though. I'd never put it like right on top. I think I did one time on these and it kind of looked gaudy, so I'm gonna hide it now. This one should go on a lot easier. do no good doing that. Do I get the clamp? Clamp and the tools. So with all of these cars, there's a system of assembly. All of them are going to have their own little way. See, you can't rotate it just a hair of a degree. That's what you want. That way it looks the same every time. All right. That completes everything on the front half. The only thing left to do is pull the headers off and go over everything, make sure there ain't any cracks we need to weld up. And this thing will be ready for the final walk around out of here. Everything's back together now, and we are just waiting on Kevin to show up to pick this thing up. And of course, it's pouring down rain outside. This thing, I think 2 different other times that it was dropped off, it was pouring down rain also those days. So hopefully it'll let up a little bit so we can get this thing loaded and out of here. Hopefully they'll be able to go faster now. It's just fun to look at, ain't it? Pretty bad. So thank y'all for watching. Be more videos coming soon. See you guys.